I'm Cray Beaumont Flynn. Welcome to Beyond the Design, a show that gives you a peek behind the curtain of the design industry and shares the stories of those that are the driving force behind it. Well, today on Beyond the Design, we have Allie Bruski, Vice President of Hospitality with Milliken, and Brian Maloney, National Sales Manager of Milliken. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Well, Allie, why don't we start with you and tell us a little bit about what you do at your role at Milliken, and then Brian, you can tell us a little bit about your role and responsibilities in Milliken itself.
Sure. So I actually just stepped into a new role in the last couple of weeks. So I'm pretty new, but I have taken over as the business leader for our hospitality group at Milliken. So
Fantastic. Well, congrats.
thank you.
Cray, I'm the National Sales Manager in charge of the sales force in hospitality in the U.S., and I report to Allie.
Okay. Well,
and I'm on year 2 stints. I'm on year 29 at Milliken.
fantastic. So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little about the Milliken story?
Well, Milliken is really kind of focused on bringing some solutions to the hospitality industry. We're really well known in printed carpet, and we've been doing that for 50 years. So we have a lot of innovations that really make modular carpet and hard surface flooring appropriate for hospitality spaces. So I would say that's probably what we're known the best for, is being able to print and register. So we're the only manufacturer of carpet in the world that can print carpet tile in precision so that you can make big artwork pieces and large scale kind of broadloom type looks in modular flooring. So that's kind of the biggest thing, and obviously sustainability and design as well.
So how is Milliken leading the charge of doing this and for the next phase of our industry, since our phase in our industry is ever so changing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll be interested to hear Brian's kind of weighing in on this as well. But Milliken is a company of scientists. So we have actual people in lab coats walking around. We're one of 4 divisions at the company, of which chemicals is one, textiles is one, and also healthcare. So we get a lot of, I think, kind of influence and benefit from our other divisions, innovating either ingredients or performance solutions. So we have, our scientists and technicians that are always pushing the envelope on what is possible. That helps us certainly in performance, but also from the design arena. So being able to get more colors into the carpet, pushing the boundaries of what's possible as far as the type of looks. So instead of just tufted, designs, we can actually get kind of watercolor type looks and ombre effects and over 4,000 colors in a single square meter. So that's something that we've just invented in the last couple of years with a new piece of equipment, and we'll continue to push that envelope in design and, as we move forward as well. So, Brian, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I would say, with all our scientists and over 5,000 patents, one of the things that separates us is we're just not a carpet company. And we, as Allie said, we use the knowledge from across all the divisions. And number one thing you do when you have a presentation with a customer is just talk a little about Milliken. And it surprises everybody that we have 5,000 patents. We have so many PhDs running around. It's a very, very special and unique company.
So on the design aspect, do you have a set design that you work with? Do you have a design team that actually comes up with a specific designs? And do you actually do customization for projects from various designers?
Yeah, absolutely. We have an in-house design team. We have kind of our running line product design team and then also our custom team. About 90% of what we do at Milliken is in hospitality is running through the custom team. So we're certainly very good at that. It's really incredible to watch this team work because we'll work with clients who have kind of a vision or some inspiration for a project. They'll share that with our team. And also kind of the functionality or the SKU count, some of the parameters that maybe is coming from the brand or ownership. And our team will just reinterpret that into our technology to really put forth some incredible designs that also fit the needs of the space. Because we have the in-register carpet printing capability, if we're working in printed, we can do an entire property without any noticeable seams or transitions, which is a pretty unique element for a Milliken as well, and makes for a really nice translation on the floor.
And how does Milliken incorporate innovation? Do you have an innovation team that actually looks at sustainability and the next, I guess, it factor?
Yeah, we do. I mean, Milliken is pretty special, as Brian says. We've, had our first recycling policy in the year 1901. So historically, we've been very focused on sustainability and also as a privately held company. I think that gives us a lot more freedom to make long-term decisions. When you have to focus on quarterly earnings, you don't get to do maybe the same type of investments and commitments. So we're very focused on sustainability and have been for 120 years. So we have a global team that kind of looks at that from a broad perspective. So we're a part of the floor covering, maybe it's ingredients or different techniques or reclamation, reuse, and then we also participate within our enterprise, which would be maybe more focused on kind of the big picture things as well. So that's kind of the sustainability piece.
Fantastic. So what is Milliken doing leading the next edge of innovation and sustainability? What's really on the forefront of them actually making it a mark, a bigger mark, I guess you could say?
Yeah, so we just launched last November our Impact Carbon Neutral program. So globally, we've made a commitment that every floor covering product, if it's LVT, if it's carpet tile, entry flooring, is going to be carbon neutral. And at this point, like everyone else, we're doing that through carbon offsets, so purchasing carbon offsets, but we've also made commitments and are putting some financial dollars into investing in, things that are actually either in manufacturing, decarbonizing, dematerializing the product, so you get the same performance but with less, which is kind of the holy grail, right? And we're also in our modular landscapes kind of solution, because we're able to do things in carpet tile that nobody else can do. We see a significant waste savings in the property with modular flooring. So that's a big piece of it, because not only do, the one writing the checks love it because you're paying less because there's less waste, but also there is a significant carbon footprint impact on that as well. Brian, I'm just jumping in. You know me, I can't help myself.
You nailed it.
So
You nailed it.
please
You nailed
take
it.
over
You
here.
nailed it. No, you nailed it.
So incorporating the global market, how does Milliken work in the more, I think, diverse and small world that the world is becoming smaller and smaller? How is the market, the global market, being incorporated by Milliken?
So we have, a global footprint, and we have collective studios that talk to each other. So whether it's trying to find synergies in designs and the color blank, maybe there's a set of neutrals that will cross over. But we have, local manufacturing in different regions as well. So we do have slightly different, equipment, but really trying to offer the same kind of the big picture value proposition across the globe would truly be who Milliken is, but also incorporating that local knowledge, because we know, even within the EU, for example, from a design standpoint, you're going to have different colors and preferences. So we want to make sure we don't get so one note from a global perspective that we forget to be regional to reach that market.
Right.
And it's been that way for, Mr. Milliken implemented that many years ago. So it's very much a local, like for instance, our plants here produce for North America. It's with all the issues with freight and everything that went on in the last year or so, with our production here, it saved a lot of problems and it actually helped business times.
And it's good for sustainability too,
Totally.
to manufacture a little closer to the project. So,
So tell me a little bit more about professional life at Milliken from each of you.
Brian, why don't you start? I feel bad.
Sure. No. Well, Uh, I started at Milliken right out of school in 1987, and I worked here until 2012. And I went on to work for other companies, and I always wanted to come back. It's a very unique company. The innovation, it's people, it's relationships. Uh, we're a very unique company where there are a lot of people. For instance, in our sales force, we have 2 people over 40 years with the company. So it's that long term where people come and they stay, where and the family is very involved. Mr. Milliken used to be really involved, but now we have a CEO, Halsey Cook, and the family is behind the scenes now, but they're hands on. They know what's happening. As Allie said earlier, that puts us in a unique position. But it comes down, we're a very special place. Really comes down to the people. Everybody in the company, no matter what, tries to help each other. And that's very, very unique. You don't see that in other companies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Sounds like it has a wonderful, very secure corporate culture that people don't leave.
Yeah, well, and people who do leave, like myself, come back.
Yeah.
And you realize when you're not here how special the company is.
And
Yeah. And just to,
where are you based out of, Brian?
New York
Oh,
City.
okay. All right.
Allie,
And you, Allie?
Well, I was going to say one of the things that has struck me about Milliken is that we truly live our values. And I
yeah,
think that's also something that is maybe harder to find everywhere. I'm actually from the town where Milliken is based in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I lived away for a long time and came back to the upstate of South Carolina and had kind of targeted Milliken as a place, that I wanted to work. And a lot of that was because they were putting out front and center on social media during the pandemic and really what they stood for as far as the people and the planet. And it really spoke to me because, we all work so hard. You want to do it for a company that deserves those efforts, I think.
Right.
So I think that's really impressive about Milliken. It's not a marketing campaign or lip service. We truly are focused on innovation. We've won the Ethosphere Award 17 times for doing what we say we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then also I'm in a
one of
sort of
only
unique,
6 companies. One of only
yeah, that's
six
right,
companies.
in the whole world that has won that honor that many times in a row. So that's, really speaks, I get, and again, in addition to the tenure of so many folks here, they would leave if not. So that's a testament too. But I actually just got back from maternity leave, so I've had a really interesting experience as just a woman and a mother and a parent, within the company, and felt very taken care of. And when I saw you, Cray, at HD, I was working through my second week back of maternity leave. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just not something you find everywhere. And we had a meeting with our CEO, with Halsey, and at the end of the business review, he asked me what my experience was like being a new mother at Milliken, which I thought was incredible. He was that keyed in to, doing what they say and really valuing people in different phases of life. So
let me ask you, what's a typical day for the both of you at Milliken?
Brian better be
Allie?
making sales calls.
Yes, I have to make a lot of sales calls. Otherwise,
Bringing in the bacon.
otherwise it's going to be a long week. Go ahead, Allie.
I'm based in our home office. So I come in typically 3 days a week and meet with the team. As I said, I'm still kind of transitioning into a new role, but a lot of my day now is just kind of learning from our team, what's going on with them, what challenges are they up against. And, I'm very, very fortunate in this position that the people on my team know a lot more about their jobs than I do. And so we have just an incredible group of folks in hospitality. We're very lucky, and that makes me lucky too. So trying not to get in the way too much and taking some roadblocks out, and then connecting with our kind of more national account type customers is what I focus on.
Busy
And
person.
very
Yeah.
busy. She's done a great job, just in business development, and now running the show. It's been spectacular. and it's very exciting because a high percentage of our industry and hospitality are women, and it's a huge shift for us to have Allie, who's young, energetic, very smart, very competitive, running the show for us, and and that's another thing where we've evolved as a company with Milliken. To answer your question is, um, my weeks vary. I mean, if I could be going to a corporate meeting, or I'm out with the sales team with customers, or at a trade show, or like last week with a holiday week, I was here at home and talking to salespeople, customers. Uh, our sales team is, we have a really good group of people. They're very hardworking, very honest. Uh, they have my back, I have their back. So it's a pleasure to come to work every day.
So, what is the signature story that makes unique Milliken?
Go ahead, Brian.
No, Allie, you go with this one. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, I think what Milliken does better than anybody else is we use our innovations to support design and to give you, zero trade-offs as far as the look, but to find solutions. And our design team is so unique in that I think they're at equal parts left brain and right brain. So they're going to bring something to the project. They love getting a challenge, and they're going to bring something to it that's very inspired, and with our technology, very beautiful, but at the same time makes it really easy to sell in because it just makes so much sense, whether that's from simplifying the SKU count to ensure, more successful installation, to offering, background that's going to hide wear, to make tile replacement easier. All of that. I think that combination is really a hallmark of what Milliken brings to the industry.
I agree with Allie. I was going to just say the same thing on innovation. We have the ability, as Allie mentioned earlier, in registered tile, which is basically our carpet tile looks like broadloom, and we're the only ones in the industry who can do that. All of our products come with an attached pad, so that helps with underfoot comfort. A whole variety of things. We've had no claims on mold, so it's very unique. Everything we do, Allie mentioned earlier, with regard to the machine. I mean, it was built by our team. It was the scientists. It's an amazing. Just overall, we're always looking for solutions, and that's the key word from the sales side. We want to be a solutions provider. And we're very, very, very unique on what we do, and we're proud.
So, to expand upon the innovation aspect, without giving us any classified information, what's some new exciting products that Milliken is working on?
Well, we have a couple things, Brian, and you can add to this, but the two things that I'm most excited about, so it's kind of a continuation of our in-register capability. Our design team has created a framework called Continuous Random. And what it does is it gives you pattern match precision carpet and tile, but every single tile is unique and it doesn't have to be installed in a certain order. So it's kind of hard to explain without some visual support. But essentially, when you're looking at a corridor and you want it to have that broadloom kind of look with a pattern continuing, typically your installer is going to have to look at the back and be very intentional on exactly where they place each, individual design. Here we have that variation built in, but the installer does not have to pay attention to where they're putting it as long as it's in directionality. So that's really cool. And we can do, just a simple one SKU that has that, or we could do a kit of parts to create door drops or accent areas. So that's very interesting on just the procurement side from simplification. You think about attic stock, you have one SKU instead of 10 different ones. So continuous random is something we'll be doing a lot more design work in and bringing out. And then the other one is we're doing some additional construction. So we'll have some really unique textures to serve as the canvas, the starting point for our designs. And because we, focus on print, that really allows you to kind of go from the very highest end, carpet
Yeah.
construction down to maybe the lowest end if you're in a value engineering and not have to start over on the design work. That's kind of a unique, um, I think, benefit of working in print. As we know, things and budgets we kind of start out at the very top, right? And then we have somebody come in and kill the party for us and make us drop down in the price point. And print is a really great vehicle to save time in that regard.
Continuous Random was a huge hit at the HD show, and as Allie said, we're definitely pushing it because we're the only ones who can do it, and it's very exciting. And we're as Allie said, we're making the story simpler so we can
Right.
explain it without the visuals.
So, given that our industry is ever so changing
Mhm.
consistently and continuously over and over, how is the industry changing and how is Milliken playing a part of that change?
Allie,
Brian, why don't you go, Brian, because
yeah,
you have a longer history.
sure. Uh, how the industry is changing. Well, I the pandemic caused, from a sales side, caused
Right.
a very, very difficult way of getting in front of customers, even after the pandemic, because we've evolved from the pandemic where everybody was in the office 5 days a week. There are accounts that they're lucky they're in 3 days a week. In some
Right.
cases, it's one day a week. So if you're working on a project, say, Craig, you and I are working on it, and you're traveling to a project, and I'm in, and we both have to make a decision, but we're not going to see each other again for another week. So it causes that a delay. The other thing that we're trying to figure out, and we're working with other vendors in hospitality, for instance, lighting, or we're trying to group various suppliers together to get in front of the customers because they're not there. And there's very limited time. I mean, I had an instance this morning. Customer asked us to come in on July 6th, and the next date was January. So, and that's never was like that. Never.
Right.
So it's just that staying in front, with finding unique ways, with from the sales with new products, it puts a great strain on the designers because if we're not in front of them, they don't see the new products. They only see it on if they're online. So that's the biggest change from my side.
Yeah.
And do you think the trends that are happening, do you think Milliken is on top and on the forefront of those trends?
Yes, very much.
Is
Yeah,
there go ahead, Allie. I'm sorry.
well, I was just going to build on what Brian said, trying to find a way to get in front of customers. And then also, I've heard from different, brands and designers that it's very difficult to get through projects as quickly as they need to because people are not in the office together. And I also think, pretty much every company made some, adjustments in size during the pandemic as hospitality was so hard hit. I don't see a whole lot of evidence that those teams have built back, at any part of the process. I think everybody is expected to do more with less people and also with less face-to-face collaboration. So there's a challenge there. And that's something we think about as a supplier. How do we facilitate virtual collaboration? What can we do in our process to take some of the workload off? So I think that's something that is, unique and will be important to address as we move forward, a way for us to really add value to our customers, whether it's design firm or brand. So that's a big piece of it too. And then in terms of design, I think, everybody seems to be a little bit more open to having these solutions, kind of a little bit more practical design. So whether that's sustainability driven, if that's budget constraint driven, I think in those terms, with our color space and also our technology allows us to do very small runs. I think that's something where we're really on the forefront too, is being able to do bespoke design, but at very low minimums through our mass customization, which our equipment allows us to do. So I think we're really, following those market trends that make sense for us. And then in pure design, we're doing more and more with texture and color and pattern to try to bring that angle as well.
And is there educational component in reaching out to new clients and Milliken providing that learning curve, I guess, for the new product that's out there?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's sort of a debate going on at NEWH on whether or not CEUs are still appealing and interesting. I'm actually on the education committee for NEWH, so we've talked a lot about this. I do think it's a big challenge for any supplier, the ones that we've talked to in different, not just floor covering, but when you have a new innovation, how do you make sure that your designers and your customers really understand that if you don't get in front of them. So we'll have to figure out new ways to bring that to market. And we try to do some of that through our digital tools. Maybe it's an interactive brochure. And I think there's an opportunity for us to do more videos. And we appreciate the chance to be on your podcast because I think this is another great example of, a new media that gives us a good avenue for that.
Absolutely.
So if there's a signature story of Milliken, what would the signature story be of Milliken? Your 2-minute elevator pitch, Brian.
Ooh, thank you, Cray. That's good.
2-minute elevator pitch on Milliken. Well, a signature story with Milliken, and I think it's the values and the leadership from our fire, our plant in 1996 burned down. And it was rebuilt in 6 months, and no one lost their jobs. They went overseas. So Mr. Milliken was there every day. They said it would take years to build, and it was 6 months. And I always look back on that. I was in the fabric division when that happened, and it just showed the leadership. We have a unique company with innovation, with great people, with great leadership. And we're not scared to try something new. We'll take innovation from, the chemical business, and suddenly, someone says, "Hey, why don't we do it over here?" And that makes us very unique because the other carpet companies, no disrespect, they just do that.
Right.
But we're a very, very unique company with that.
I love that fire story too. Yeah.
Huh?
Oh.
I said you almost filled 2 minutes.
Almost. That's it.
What was that, Allie? I'm sorry.
Well, I was just going to say that's such a great story that really, I think, highlights the culture at Milliken and the leadership style. And I think, Mr. Milliken had gotten the quote for 18 months to rebuild. And he goes, "We're going to do it in 6 months. And we're going to work around the clock." And he showed up. It wasn't like just giving edicts, from the office.
Right.
So he was there, and I just laugh to think about all of our team members from, LaGrange, Georgia, getting sent all over the world to do different jobs in that time period. And that's just a huge commitment to the people to make sure that nobody missed a paycheck, and nobody did. That's in a catastrophic fire. That's pretty incredible.
Definitely. It actually sets apart Milliken from as your competitors, I would believe. Being a global company, what do you think are the differences that are being incorporated that Milliken addresses on the global market?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I haven't had a whole lot of direct responsibility on the global side. So I may have kind of an outside perspective there. But I do think we have to recognize what makes sense to leverage as a Milliken value proposition globally, but then also to maintain that, ability to be nimble and really focus, go deep for the region, and recognizing that everybody is different. So there are probably some synergies, certainly in hospitality as a segment. But we have a huge contract side of the business. So we're looking at senior living, and I imagine that's pretty different. And, no matter where you go in the world, there might be slightly different needs there. So it's really just making sure you synergize on the things that are important and make sense where you can, but then not getting so broad that you miss the ability to be really tailored and targeted, because we're trying to provide solutions, right? And that's not a one size fits all, kind of deal.
Mhm.
I mean, I had a conversation probably about 6 months ago with my counterpart in the UK, and he was trying to figure out how we in the United States sell multifamily and senior living. And it was totally interesting conversation. We're going back and forth. We know each other for a long time, and it was totally different routes to market, totally different approaches in design. But we learned a lot, and if anything new comes out that I think will fit, uh, we share a lot of information. Uh, and one thing that the company does as well, we have global leadership meetings where everybody from around the world comes in. So, and it's great to meet, my counterparts all around the world. It's good synergy, and we're looking for, hopefully we'll have a meeting this year now coming up, another one at the end of the year. But and again, you go over there, there's many people who have been with the company a long time as well. So,
To add upon that, the question I have is then, what is Milliken looking at into other markets or other sectors of the industry? Is there any expansion or plans to actually look more in pinpoint other markets they want to get into or other sectors of the industry?
I would say, that just over the last couple of years, we've made a lot as a company, made a lot of big acquisitions. And we're led to believe that we have an entire team that does it, that looks at all acquisitions in any of the business segments or even new business segments. I think that's going to continue to be aggressive. That's the big change from the top and the family over the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, Allie, I put Brian on the stand. Now it's your turn.
All right, I'm ready.
Thank you.
Give me the 2-minute pitch on Milliken Hospitality.
I think it all ties back to our modular landscapes solution, which is taking all of our proprietary innovations that drive design and performance and putting that into a modular framework, which is carpet tile, LVT, and really, again, combining all of the benefits of design so you don't have to trade off to also check these boxes of being a very practical flooring choice. So I think our ability to do that is really second to none. And again, we're the only company in the world that can make carpet tile look like broadloom, and that's still very important for our segment. So that's a key differentiator for us too. And we've got the best people in the industry. So
Maybe you can expand upon this a little bit. What is the process of manufacturing for Milliken?
one thing that's it's really unique for us because most
Mm-hmm.
people making carpet tile are going to make broadloom and then they're going to chop it up into pieces. We actually have a process that allows us to print on individual carpet tiles. So our latest and greatest machine, it was a $34 million development project. We lovingly call it Excalibur. And
That's an
it took
investment.
Yes, it was a big investment. Also, finished during the pandemic, so we're still unleashing its capabilities. But that machine allows us to print in precision. So we have 125,000 droplets of dye going down on a moving target every single second,
Wow.
perfectly in precision. It's also, and I think our marketing team gets mad when I relate it to this because it's not as fancy, but I'm a simple person. I like simple analogies. So if you think about going into a Walgreens to print pictures off your phone, once you upload the data, that machine doesn't care what the subject of the picture is. It just prints them out right one after the other. The Excalibur machine is a digital printer. So we have 10 print heads with all different colors. And it's the same thing. Once we upload the information into the software, that machine will print a different tile one right after the other. It doesn't matter. So again, that's the mass customization piece where if you need one replacement tile and you're, one of the major brands, then we could do that. If you wanted to do a bespoke lobby rug design out of carpet tile, we could do that. So definitely the speed, the color space, and the ability to print and register is something that only we can do, but really carves out our spot in the industry.
Has there been a huge demand? Is that why Milliken invested so much into this?
Well, we're the leaders in print and we're scientists and we're very nerdy and we always want to see what we can do, you know. So we're just pushing the envelope. We want to be the very best and we want to maintain our position. You know, we also know that print is like a technology.
Hmm.
So it's just like your cell phone or your TV. If you have a cell phone from 10 years ago, it probably can't do the things that we expect it to do now. And so we wanted to do the same thing. We wanted to constantly, you know, offer more colors and more clarity, more depth of color. So all of the things that do make a difference in terms of design and in some regards also in performance. That's what we're really focused on. So some of it's coming from, you know, meeting with a customer and needing to provide a solution on quick turnaround times
Mhm.
and lower minimums. And some of it's just our desire to always be doing more.
And
Now, is
and
Milliken? Go ahead, Brian. I'm
oh,
sorry.
just briefly, and the industry itself, we're leading the way towards tile in hospitality. If you look back years ago in commercial, it was broadloom, and now it's almost
Mhm.
all. I think it is all tile now, almost.
Correct.
And now we're leading the way again. Doing we're the only ones who do what we do, and it's very exciting because it's a lot of hard work from everybody, and we're starting to make big headway with the brands. Very
And that
So,
made
exciting.
you know,
one made me think of one thing. I'm sorry, Craig, but
no, no worries.
thinking about the industry, you know, driving the need for, you know, these advancements,
Mhm.
we know that people get the benefit of modular carpet
Yeah.
tile. It's easy to replace, easier to install, more flexible. But if it looks like an office building, it doesn't work for hospitality, right? We still have a very specific aesthetic that is key in our segment. And so that gives us a reason to, you know, make these advancements and these innovations because the look is still very important. And we know that if, you know, hopefully if people have the option of something that is really functional and practical, but still looks like what they want, then they'll make the switch.
So is Milliken actually going out and providing the information and the product to the various markets and shows globally? Are you reinvesting since the pandemic's over and people are able to travel?
Yeah, we have. So this was the first year that we participated in HD, and we'll also be in our own space at BDNY. So 23 was kind of our return to the big shows since the pandemic. We also participate in some regional shows, whether they're sponsored by the customer or NEWH, for example. So we are trying to get out in front of the customers, and we did a lot of virtual presentations when I first started. It's very hard to hold people's attention
Right.
on a 30-minute, you know, Teams meeting, but we tried. And so what we find is when we tell our story and we show the images and the videos that support it, people get it. We also have invested in bringing, you know, key customers to our facility, both to see our plant and this Excalibur technology,
Mhm.
as well as to our corporate office, which is on a 600-acre arboretum. It's just beautiful here. So we definitely are investing on sharing that or invested in sharing that message because we know that, you know, it works when people
Mhm.
see it.
Does Milliken take in um, comments or ideas from their clients and shares wealth of information and says, okay, well, we need to try this out?
Oh,
If we don't,
absolutely.
I'd be upset. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
it's kind of,
absolutely.
it's sort of funny. There are kind of two ways to innovate, right? One is to come up with it and then to market it and convince people that it's important and necessary. That's not really the best way to do it.
Right.
I definitely feel, you know, our team understands that when you listen to the customer, you don't have to be very creative in the solutions. If you just listen, people will tell you what they need. And so what we try to do is take that information and kind of apply it to what we do and then present it to our, you know, creative and technical teams to say, how do we solve this problem? Whether that's a design problem, a performance problem. So yes, the best innovation comes from the customer, and that's where you have two ears and one mouth.
Yeah.
Um, Sometimes hard for me. I like to talk.
Well,
But
I mean, a great example of that is we had a customer trip a couple years ago where everyone was calling our print technology in the market precision die, digital die, and the customer goes, "Well, why don't you just call it print? It's print." And that was the cornerstone of our shift in modular landscapes. We just started print, print, print. We didn't
Right.
try to hide it. So that's a quick example of listening to the customer.
So part of the design collective, is there a eternal team that just everyone comes together from various sectors, various departments, and starts creating and coming up with ideas collectively?
Yeah.
yeah, so our domestic team is based in our headquarters here, so the same building where I am, and they have a big area where they're always laying out the product, ideas and concepts that they're working on. So there's kind of inherent collaboration just as you're walking to your desk. We have a new collection that our contract team is launching at NeoCon next week that is going to be absolutely beautiful for hospitality and senior living. So there's some great collaboration there. And then we also have a follow-up meeting with our design team where, residential, commercial, hospitality, and some global teams will come together and kind of present the trends as they saw them at the different shows that we attended. So that will hopefully foster some really great idea sharing and collaboration too.
And
Fantastic.
our being in hospitality with 95% custom, we get a lot of great ideas from our customers. So
Great
it's,
point.
we there are a lot of collections that we've made through the years spun off of an idea. So again, listening to the customer.
Right, right, right. So what is the process for the design team in actually incorporating various designs or new product? Is there a specified process that Milliken kind of guides them, or is it being creative, just go out and do it?
So what I understand from our creative team, and I joke, I'm creative enough to appreciate it, but not
Right.
nearly enough to do it. So you take this with a grain of salt. But what I have seen of their work process is that it tends to come from the customer first. They have a concept, maybe the design firm is working on something, they want to be true to the area or the segment. And so they'll bring kind of some concepts. Maybe it's a painting that they like or something. And then our design team will kind of work on a couple of different concepts that translate into repeatable pattern. That's kind of the hard thing, that they've helped me see is it's one thing to be a great designer, but
Mm-hmm.
to design repeating patterns is a whole other, ball of wax.
Right.
And so that's what our team does so well is really they're consultants. So they work kind of back and forth and then they, share the concepts and usually they will get direction from the customer on which one to move forward with. And then they'll continue to work through the rest of the project. If there's different scales that are needed or different components, they kind of get the primary one and then build out the rest of the way.
And we
So
have
we've talked
design
about,
leaders at the
right.
plant too. So
Uh-huh.
they our designers in Spartanburg will work with the plant to make sure that we can run it. So
Mhm.
and achieve the look that we're trying.
Fantastic. So we talked about innovation quite often in the discussion. So does Milliken have an innovation lab?
I guess we probably have a lot of testing things at the plant, and
Right.
really our whole, our corporate ethos is curious minds and inspired solutions. So the whole campus here, certainly in South Carolina, if you walk across the street on the way to our cafeteria, you would pass our chemical labs. So we have actual labs here.
Right.
Right.
And then we have kind of our design collective studios that have product laid out and have meetings and this all kind of out in the open for everybody to see. And the new concept bases or designs, are here. It's a fun place to walk around and snoop a little bit.
Well, you mentioned that you're scientists. So I'm envisioning people in white coats and,
Oh yeah,
secure
That's the real
areas. And,
deal.
that's the
Yeah,
real
yeah.
deal.
Yep.
wow, that's fantastic. Is there anything you'd like to share and tell us about that I haven't asked yet?
I
Oh,
think,
golly.
continuous random is one of the things I'm most excited about. We'll be having some of that product come out, more designs and more options coming out soon, and we'll have a really beautiful space at BDNY. So we're looking forward to showing off in New York. And our most recent kind of preview of a collection at HD was called Art Made. And it's a really neat concept because it goes all the way back to a printmaking workshop that our design team did. So going as far back to the craft that you could, and then reimagining and reinterpreting with our latest technology to get some really incredible kind of different motifs and different size repeats. So ArtMade will be launching in the next month. So keep an eye out for that.
Fantastic.
And I would say that it's just so coming off the HD show, and then we have an event tomorrow night, Hospitality Product Awards, and in the BDNY show, it's just so happy. Everyone's so happy to see each other at a show, no matter what. Competitors, everyone's just so happy to be out and about. So let's hope it keeps going.
Exactly.
Yep.
So if there's one thing to say about Milliken and what it, not a 2-minute elevator pitch, but being Milliken employees, what you're most proud of as part of this family, I guess, corporate family.
I'm proud that we truly live our values. I mean, I think that authenticity is very hard to find, but it's so important, specifically, I'm sure to everybody, but to me personally, that was really, really important because I've always, poured my heart and soul into whatever I was doing. And so I like working for a company that is doing the right thing, both for its people, its customers, and our planet. So that's something that inspires me to come to work every day for a company. And also the team, we have so much fun. We get a lot done. We do a lot with a little. And we really know who we are. So I think that, Brian said we're proud of that. Like, why would we not talk about print when we are so obviously the clear leaders and we know what kind of solutions it's bringing? I'm proud of that. And as Brian said, I'm a little competitive, but we're going to be doing a lot more in the future, and we're going to continue to stay true to who we are and do what we do.
I would say, as Allie said, values. We have high ethics, great people. Everyone wants to help each other. We have a lot of smart people in the company, and it's a big family. And particularly our group, we're a smaller group, and our industry is the best industry to be in. Hospitality, everybody's friendly. It's just everyone wants to help each other. Even well, maybe not the competitors, but the customers. But I'm very, very proud.
Yeah.
Huh?
You have to be competitive.
Absolutely.
To show your strength and your value,
Absolutely.
So.
We like to win, but we also have lots of competitor friends. So it's a very
Yes.
nice industry, I would say, across the board. And when you know who you are and what you do, you can be very focused on that. And there are other people who are really good at other things, and that's great. But we're going to be Milliken, and we're going to bring those solutions because we believe in them. So.
And because of the pandemic, how have you seen the hospitality sector really change?
I'll let you go, Brian.
Yeah, I would say back to customers not being in the office every day, projects taking longer. One thing I noticed last year, and I think is already starting to happen this year, is a lot of people are taking their vacation in June, July, and August. So that's an interesting. So when it was a little bit slow, I think it's going to be even slower with just projects taking longer to get to the finish line. And again, I've never seen so many people so happy to see each other at every big event. It is just unbelievable.
Real people, real faces.
Real faces, not on Zoom.
Hugs.
Yes.
Real hugs, real everything.
Have you seen the design aspect of people kind of testing the design and aesthetics, especially with your carpet tile, now that that's a product that they can actually have?
Yeah, we're seeing the doors open, I think,
Yeah.
because of the constrained budgets and the attention around sustainability. So being able to reduce the waste is very attractive, and 9 times out of 10, carpet tile will do a better job of that, the material
Mhm.
utilization, than a broadloom. So I think for sure modularity is being accepted a lot more than it was previously. So I think that's a part of it. And then something I've kind of noticed is that people, whether again it's sustainability or budgets, those sort of go hand in hand. They're similar goals
Hmm.
or paths to get there, but the focus on doing design that's going to last. We have this ugly out before it wears out kind of problem in floor covering,
Right.
and so certainly in the hard surface products, which we sell resilient flooring as well as carpet, but wanting to pick something a little bit more traditional. So there's been a resurgence of these natural wood tones that I've noticed pretty strong in the LVT world, where it used to be a little more kind of
Mhm.
taupes and warm grays.
Right.
And so that kind of natural tones has really come out as far as design
Hmm.
in the last year, I would say, even.
Yeah. Absolutely. I You nailed it with that answer. That's exactly what we're seeing.
And I know sustainability is an important factor and element
Yeah.
for Milliken. Do you see sustainability playing a larger role and importance, value in the market, both nationally and globally?
I
For
would say.
sure.
Oh, go ahead, Allie.
Okay, well, I was just going to say definitely globally, Europe is pretty far advanced, I think, from the domestic market. So we have, to pay attention there. But what we see is that the big brands are all very focused on sustainability. They have published, goals to their
Hmm.
stakeholders. They're out in the open. The trickle down kind of impact, I think, it's a very complicated animal from a specification standpoint.
Correct.
So what I kind of see happening is that the operating sustainability, like lower use water and not as much waste in the bath products or food waste. That stuff sort of has taken precedence because it's easier to attack than
Correct.
the FF&E side. But certainly everybody wants to do the right thing. So I think it's about giving the right solutions that you can't have a price difference of 30% and get specified just for sustainability. But certainly it's an expectation of specifiers now that it's almost like a given. Well, of course, it has to have a sustainable component. And so that's sort of how I see kind of the sustainability piece playing out. And everybody wants to do more, but I'm not sure they
Right.
exactly know how to
How to
get
get there.
after that animal. It's so huge.
Well, it's also an educational component that a lot of people just they hear the word and they don't understand it and the
Yeah.
cause and effect of it. Is Milliken helping educate those customers the value of sustainability?
Absolutely. I mean, we're looking at our modular landscapes, solution. A big part of that is, reducing waste and lower embodied carbon. You start talking about embodied carbon and then ESG, and again,
Right.
people's eyes kind of
Yeah.
glaze over. So, um,
The foreign
so
word.
there's yeah, and it's changing, right? And it
Right.
depends on who you're talking to. The financial markets call it ESG. We call it just sustainability. So I think we have to do a good job making those conversations more digestible, and also recognizing that floor covering is one product that a
Right.
designer is specifying. So if it's too complicated, and look, we got scientists here, so we can go deep on
Yeah,
this
we can
stuff.
go really
Not
deep.
me, but we got a lot of PhDs that can do that, and so making sure we're really keeping it focused and digestible, and while still innovating in circular, materials. So we
Mhm.
know in 20 years we're going to get it back, and that's something that we're doing internally, thinking very long term about it.
And one of the things Allie did when she was in the development side in the presentations with, uh, say, 15, 20, 25% savings in carpet tile or waste, uh, it was how many miles, it was equivalent to 12,000 miles, 100 trees, or,
Right. Right.
we
Right.
it brought it into a more human where people could grasp it,
Right.
Yeah,
especially our sales team, telling the story.
yeah,
It's
the carbon
tangible. It's more
equivalents.
visual to them, so they can
Yeah,
actually digest it. Right.
Yeah.
Right. We don't know what 5,000 kilograms of carbon
Right.
is. It's so abstract, but you know what the impact of cutting down 355 trees is, or
Absolutely.
driving 12,000 miles in your
Right.
car. So again, just trying to put that in a language that everyday people will understand and it means something to, because it's easier to make a good sustainable design decision if you're thinking in terms of, wow, this, if I just switch to this product, I could save 400 trees than 6,000 grams or kilograms of carbon.
Hmm. Now,
One's easier to ignore.
is sustainability a priority for Milliken in each product that it produces and creates?
Absolutely. I mean, we kind of touched on that long legacy. The
Right.
Milliken family has been, we had the first wastewater treatment facility at one of our manufacturing plants before there was an EPA.
Hmm.
So we've been doing this a long time and we're looking in the future. We feel like it's the right thing to do, but also good business. So there's that. We're making investments there. One product I'm really excited about that we'll launch next week at NeoCon is a non-vinyl resilient product. And I've been in hard surface my whole career, and this has been kind of the holy grail, is to take the PVC out
Hmm.
but create a resilient flooring that looks like wood, that performs like wood, and doesn't cost an arm and a leg more than vinyl. And we've done that with Merge Forward is the name of that product. So that'll be launching next week. And again, that's with circularity in mind, right? We're thinking
Right.
not just in the next 5 years, but that's developed with a chemistry. The ingredients are things that when we get it back in 20 years, we'll be able to recycle it back into itself.
Is Merge Forward for the hospitality sector or the residential or both?
It'll be both. I think it'll be
Okay.
a really nice crossover. Most LVT, as long as the wear layer is right, will go from contract to hospitality,
Right.
and residential tends to get a little less performance than probably we need. But that product was specifically designed for hospitality, healthcare, and education, the three segments that are really focused on taking vinyl out of properties.
That must be exciting for Milliken to be launching that.
Yeah.
It is. This will be a big one.
It's a
Good,
biggie.
good. Well, congrats on that. So
Thank you.
any closing comments, words of wisdom?
Well, I certainly don't have those, Brian.
No, I mean, I don't have any.
No, we just a big thank you to you for
Yes.
having us on your show. I'm really
Absolutely.
excited to be a part of it and a big consumer of podcasts.
Yes.
Most of
Me
my
too.
stories, instead of like one time at band camp, most of my stories start with one podcast, this podcast I was listening to. So thank you to that and for all you do to bring people together to talk about design in the industry.
Absolutely. I think it's an important factor. And again, it's about education and knowing who's out there and the people behind the design and the design industry. But it's been a pleasure and an honor to have you both on the show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It's a
you.
pleasure.
Today's episode is brought to you by Milliken, a one-stop shop for any and every flooring need.